what's up, good people? It's your boy, Bro Troy, aka Mr. Y4C, but better known as Coach TJ. And we're back here with the Bro Code Show. Tonight's show is sponsored by the big homie, Reggie Winston, man. Shout out to my brother. Love you like cooked food, bro. Go holler at the barbershop, man. They're located at 4551 New Bern Avenue, Suite 180 in Raleigh, North Carolina. Now, check out the barbershop for all your premier grooming services. And please don't forget to ask them about their monthly memberships to save you time and money. Now, tonight is all about the bros. Now, we call it the Rehash. Now, we're going to recap some last month's conversations. Last month, fellas, we talked all about the Benjamins. Everything was about the loot, right? All things money. And we started diving into this month's conversation, too. We're going to be talking about the hustler spirit. We'll focus on the mindset, the heart, and the character of an entrepreneur. So last month, we talked about how to get the money. Now, how do we keep it, right? It's not about the money you make. It's about the money you keep. And how can you do that and make it useful? So tonight, we'll definitely chew on that, man. I'm curious, guys, for anyone who's never really been on the Bro Code Show before, the Bro Code Show is a live talk show. It's created to discuss, uncover, justify, and dismantle the issues that concern us most as family, brothers, and as a community. And we like to give that to you raw, uncut, and real respectful. Now, our greatest desire is to embrace everyone in positive, popular conversations. So no, not in the business of bashing or belittling anyone, but we do believe in being comfortable with being uncomfortable. That's where understanding starts. So as Grandma would say, let's chew the meat and spit out the bones. So right now, if you're listening, if you're not, please like, share, love, send it to Grandmom, all of them. Please like and share right now. If you're on YouTube, go to our YouTube page, like, notify. Also help us build up our Instagram page. Go to @BroCodeShow, like and share right now, man. So, fellas, what's good, man? It's been a long week, bro. But it was a beautiful day today, man. Happy Easter to you guys. I hope the family is well, man. But how you feeling, bro, Kurt?
Man, I'm good, man. Happy Easter to you guys and everybody watching. You know what? I would be remiss. I was thinking about last week and the etiquette experience. Bro, like, wow. I don't know how you guys feel, but man, I can't put it into words, man. Like, you're starting out with the barbershop experience with the young men getting the cut and getting the etiquette training, and then the suits and the ties, and then capping it off at Second Empire, man. And just the bus, and then us all being able, the mentors being able to chop it up with the educators and the young men. So I don't know how you guys feel, but man, I'm still kind of unpacking a lot of it, man.
Yeah, no, I agree, man. And not only was the experience wonderful, just from the camaraderie and the people, but the food and the staff was amazing. You all saw my plate. I was the last one eating that chicken after everybody was getting their dessert put on the table. It was a unique experience. Not only did I learn, which fork to eat what with, but how to use the spoon to get my soup. And just seeing the smiles on the faces and the lessons that you knew people learned, myself included. It was a pretty dope experience, man. I'm excited for the next opportunity.
Indeed, man. Well, fellas, I don't know if you've ever heard this before, but they say a picture is worth 1,000 words. Well, I wonder how much this 2-minute video is going to be worth. We'll be right back. Ready to do it in Second Empire. Mr. Y4C is in the building. Let's make it happen. Yes, indeed, man. It's something you just got to take it in, man. You just got to pause just for a moment, just like kind of take it in, man. I can dig it, Kirk. I'm right there with you, man. You use the word unpack. That's a good one. Multiple layers to that thing, man. But last month, fellas, we had the pleasure of connecting with some really dope guests too, man. We connected with Kevin and Reggie from the Small Business Development Fund. And we know that they were giving us some tips to find capital for business startup and to support and maintain during this pandemic. Now, we also spoke to some really other dope guests, man. So I'd love to hear your fellas. JC, what were your thoughts, man, on last month's conversation?
Oh, well, they were pretty impactful. We got a chance to talk with some entrepreneurs, some business owners, some like-minded brothers that had started and have continued to do very amazing things within the industry. For example, Jerome, and I love this brother to death. He has such a passion for learning. He's worked to get so many letters behind his name. I think the rest of the alphabet's in trouble. From starting his own businesses to giving back through financial literacy courses, to the work he does in the community. It was pretty cool to see. And Rashid took his military mindset and used that to help further his passion for developing future leaders, in the work that he does going into companies and kind of canvassing where they're at, making sure that they have a blueprint for, not necessarily just a blueprint, but a transition plan so that individuals can come in and immediately be successful. I love one of the things he had mentioned when he said that leaders aren't necessarily just born. You're making leadership decisions whether you like it or not, or whether you're in a position of leadership or not. And it's those choices that you make that can influence just how strong of a leadership mindset you can have. So those are some of the things I picked up from the conversations over the past week, or past month, I should say. Excuse me.
Yeah, I can dig that. We always talk about being a forever learner, right? Mm-hmm. Being a sponge. And then mindset, man, we can go on that all day. And we're going to dig into that today too, or this month's conversation as well, especially tonight with the guests who we have, man. So what were your thoughts, Kurt?
So I would start with DJ, and I guess I would include his wife because they were a team. But I'm thinking back when he talked about focus and having $140,000 in debt, and then taking that pile down to zero and getting back in financial alignment, and hearing him talk about her putting the number up in front of them where they could see the focus every day. And then also, not only that, taking these odd jobs and doing all these other things to bring in additional revenue to pay that amount down. So I love that. He also had a huge focus on building credit and how important that is to be financially stable. So I start with him, and then, Justin from Providence was fantastic. And he chopped into something talking about community building. And I loved what he said about community building. He shared about the Ethiopian tribe and how they, no matter what they did, they always shared information, right? And if you shared information, more or less what I talk about all the time is we're better together. And some of us make it to a place of, success, but we don't share the information for others because for whatever reason. So loved his part too.
I could dig that too, man. We talk about focusing on goal. Most men, I guess we can speak for ourselves, visually driven, right? So putting that goal up there and having something to chase after. If I could add a layer to that, Kurt, man, he also enjoying the process. He used the comparison of the caterpillar and the butterfly, and all of it is part of that. Not one's not better than the other. You can't appreciate one without the other, and really growing and as you always say, being present in the moment. So that's really dope, man. I could dig it. So, tonight we know that this month's conversation is all about the hustler spirit, man. We want to talk about that mindset, that character, that gumption, and that fortitude that gets you to a place where you can enjoy that, even when the tough does happen, man. So tonight we got a really special guest, guys. We know we could do nothing great alone. So, we've heard a lot of great information last month, but tonight we know that execution is the difference maker between a goal written down and a goal accomplished. And I think we've got someone on here tonight that could definitely help us chew the meat on that, man. So this young man right here, we have Ryan Ray. Ryan is an accomplished, results-oriented entrepreneur with a passion for developing leaders and building collaborative partnerships across both the public and private sector. Now, Ryan currently serves as CEO of Jobs for Life and is also founder of Triangle Entrepreneurial Leadership. Now, Ryan believes that in order to build any successful institution, you must first build its people. Please help me introduce to some and say what's up to the bros. Ryan Ray. Ryan, what's good, man? How you feeling, man? You got to get off mute now. Uh-oh. Can't start this way, Ryan.
I'm with you. What's going on, fellas? How y'all doing?
What's going on, Ryan, man? How you feeling today,
Feeling
Doc?
great, man. Feeling great. How you guys feeling?
Hey, man, always good to have you, brother. Good to see you, man. So
for
those that don't know, right, for those that may not know, man, for those who are listening, Ryan, man, who is Ryan Ray at the core?
Man, Ryan Ray at the core is just what you said, man. A lover and builder of people. I think first and foremost, just someone who wants to see other people win. Everything I do is really centered and focused around a service to others. I live the first, I'll say quarter of my life focused on Ryan, and that didn't work out so well for me. And we'll tell that story a little later on, I think. But when I begin to understand how valuable it is to take my eyes off myself and see how I can be of value to other people, it's been a place, man, worthwhile and worthy of living and focusing. And so that's Ryan.
I can dig it, man. I can dig it. Well, that's good stuff, man. We appreciate you joining us tonight. So, Bro Smith, let's chew the meat and spit out the bone.
Yeah, man, I'm excited to talk about entrepreneurship a little bit more, because at its core, entrepreneurship is a lot like making art. An artist might use brushes and a blank canvas to create an art piece, while the entrepreneur is using capital and a business plan to create a business. But, of course, as a creative, not all materials created equal. Some brushes have weak bristles, some paints retain color better, some canvases are better than others. And the material that you use to create your artwork has a direct impact on the final product. The same can be said about entrepreneurship. The financing, the support that an individual gets can go a long way in terms of the success of their business. Now, in an ideal world, access to resources would be equal. Unfortunately, as many Black businesses owners have found, this is not the case all the time. And the effect of these materials can sometimes weigh more heavily on them. However, despite challenges, we've seen an increase in the number of Black entrepreneurs over the past few years, and especially throughout the pandemic, and in particular, Black female entrepreneurs. Now, we're coming right on the heels of Women's History Month and Black History Month, and Black women have become so invested in starting their own businesses that they have surpassed the number of Black male entrepreneurs, making them the only ethnic group that has more female business owners than their male counterparts. And so I'm excited this month to not just talk to another talented, successful young Black entrepreneur, but I'm also going to be talking to a fellow Wolfpack alum to where, that's right. Thank you. Thank you very much. NC State class of 04, then again, it's 2011, but I'm hoping you could tell us about an experience early on life that helped shape your views on entrepreneurship.
Great, man. Listen, first of all, let me just say I'm honored, humbled to be in the presence of the bros. I've been following you guys, watching you guys, seeing your work, man. So just keep up the good work. It's an honor to see what you guys are doing. Great shows, particularly last month, dialed in, talking about money, man. Just a conversation we haven't had a lot about. And talking of money, speaking of money, one early thing that kind of awakened me, just a quick story, then I'll tell you the real one, was you talked about the barbershop, brother Winston. And so when I was young, I don't know about you guys, I grew the roundy round, right? And my father cut my hair, and when he cut my hair, it was one guard, one level, just all off, right? And I ended up with this kind of roundy round, and somehow or another, I came across and learned about the peak, right? The edges. And I told my pop, I said, man, listen, I want to start going to the barbershop so I can get these peaks, right? And he said, when you can start paying for your haircut, then you can go to the barbershop. So then I knew something was wrong, right? But my first inkling of entrepreneurship, that was probably around, 9, 10, 11. My first experience around entrepreneurship that I was on the wrong side of the coin, I was cutting grass in the summers, man, at age 13, 40, 50 hours a week, hustling spirit, right? Mm-hmm. And so I never forget it. This one time we were cutting grass. It was for my great uncle, and he dropped me off at this house in the middle of town. I went and cut the grass. Probably took me about a half hour. And he sent me to the door to get the check. And so I went to the door to get the check from the young lady whose yard we cut. And when I looked at the check and knew how much I got paid, I said, whoa, I'm on the wrong side of this coin. I was getting paid about $4 an hour. This was probably 89, 90. It took me about a half hour to cut that yard, right? So that means I made $2 and he got the 65. I said, yeah, something's wrong. Something's off here. I didn't know it then, but that was my first remembrance of business, if you will.
So, wow, Ryan, we can all understand that for sure. So it's been said that a true entrepreneur is a doer and not a dreamer. Would love to know how that quote has played out in your life, and what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, man, love that. Listen, absolutely, the doing and the executing is imperative, right? But it doesn't happen without the dream. For me, it was the dream that motivated me to then take action, to start doing something different than I was doing. You know, what we're comfortable with, bro, Kirk, what we're content with, we will not change, right? And so until we get uncomfortable, discontent, tired of being tired, fed up, only then will we change. And so that's when we take action. But that thing we got to get fed up with is this current reality. And when we can get a sense of what's possible, of a future, of a preferred reality, you guys talked about being visual, right? And when you see something, now that's when action takes in to say, you know what, I want that instead of this. And so where action is absolutely imperative, I've seen most people take action when they've landed on the dream, when they've decided there's something bigger that I want to accomplish than what I currently have.
That's pretty profound. Now, leadership and business can go hand in hand. You know, from your experience, what is one of the most common things that businesses or entrepreneurs overlook?
Man, you know, I believe there's three. You know, the Bible talks about, you know, faith, hope, and charity. I think there's three characteristics that leaders need. It's character, it's task, it's doing the work, which we just talked about, and then it's the ability to build and develop relationships. But of the three, I believe that character is the most important, because we can teach the task, right? Somebody gets enough of motivation and belief behind them, they're going to go do, even if it's wrong, right? They're going to go to work. We're going to fail fast. Relationships, right? You can be taught how to build and nurture relationships, but that character piece, that's a decision that someone has to make, that I'm going to be a person of character, a person of integrity in all situations. I'm going to be a person of character. And for me, that's the one that rises and stands up to the top, man. And, you know, those are the folks you want to be in business with, right? Those are the people who don't just show up and do what's right, that, you know, when the lights are down, right, that they're doing the right thing. So I believe character, man, is top of the totem pole.
Yes, indeed, man. We can talk about that all day, but I got to shout out the big homie, man. What's up, Danye? How you doing, man? I appreciate you tuning in. So dope. Keep it moving, gentlemen. I love it, man. I appreciate it, Donnie. I think he was laughing at you and those margins with you getting $2 and my man was getting 65. Because the follow-up from that said those margins were off, right?
Way off, dude. Way off. I knew something was wrong.
Imagine that you took that $2 and multiplied it a couple times and got your own lawnmower and then started knocking on your own doors.
Develop the skill, and now let's go hustle. Right.
My man Ray. What's up, Ray Harper?
Ray
man?
Harper, what's up, y'all,
man?
Hey, man, shout out to Ray. Talk about taking action, man. This joker put his tools in a box and sent it up to NYC, man. It got much respect. So talk about a hustler, man. Ray Harper, that's my guy. So I had to give a big shout out to Ray. And Danya, fellow Wolfpack, we got some stories. We grew up on the same hall in the same dorm. We got some stories. So my man Danya, good to see you, bro.
What dorm was this? What dorm was this?
Owen.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. So now you're talking 94, 95. 96, Danya, I think. I can't remember how long we were there before we decided to grow our wings and go spend some money paying rent. But you know how that goes.
That sounds like another show, man. We'll be back in June celebrating Dope Dads, just to put that out there.
Appreciate it, man. Listen, I didn't say it when you opened up. Proud father of 2 young boys, a 1-year-old and one soon to be 3, man. The joy of my life. And talk about a reason to take action. That's all I need, man. So if I was moving before, it's locked in now.
Yeah. Yeah, laser focus. I think that's a great segue too, bro, man. Ryan, it's been said that tragedy can change the trajectory of our lives. In 2003, you were in a near fatal car accident, and shortly after was introduced to a mentor, started taking interest in personal development, which began your journey of business ownership. Now, I want to hear a little bit more about that, man. There's a story in that, man. You know, they couple commas. So help us out, man. You know, tell us more about that chapter of your life.
Man, what a chapter it was. You know, speaking of Danya and NC State, you know, I tell folks college was a 5.5-year, $30,000 party. I got it on, man. I had a good time. Left there with about $30,000 worth of debt, student loan debt, which is a joke today, right? You know, the young folks are looking at me like, that's all. But the other thing, and I'm telling you this because I'll set it up on the end. And like I said, authenticity. We talked about this in the beginning. I had 11 credit cards maxed out to about 10 grand, right? So I leave college with about $40,000 worth of debt. I leave though and realize that I really don't have an interest in what I studied. So I go right into sales and marketing. It's 1999, and I start working for a telecommunications company. Right out the gate, crushing it, having tremendous success, I think, for a 22-year-old, 50, 60 grand a year. Did that for about a year, another show. I walked away from that because the entrepreneur spirit was brewing, had the bump head with the young manager, all of that. So, you know what, I'm done. Not going to tell me what to do. I'm out. But then, you know, you walk away from a $50,000, $60,000 income, but the bills keep coming in. In that same time, I went and paid sticker price for a brand new truck to the tune of about 30 grand, right? So now, yes, I've racked it up, right, bro, Kirk? So I'm about 70 grand in debt as a 22-year-old. And so I get into car sales and do that for a couple of years. And while I'm selling cars, I decide to take off late one Sunday night after a long day of church and family and head down to Tampa, Florida. And the competitor in me is let's see how quick we can get there. And, you know, and we just drive. And so about 3-4 o'clock in the morning, I wake up in the median of I-4, halfway between Orlando and Tampa. I fell asleep running about 80 miles an hour and ran up under the back of a tractor trailer. And it just totally ripped the roof off the car, and I spun out and, you know, crashed, ended up breaking a leg and ripping open an arm. And grace of God, I'm here today. Long story short, man, they airlifted me to Orlando Regional, put me back together. And a week later, I'm back home in my bedroom that I grew up in next to my parents, with my mom putting my socks and shoes on my feet. Basically lost it all, lost the car, lost the apartment, like everything, like, because I was living the dream before this happened. Right. And I lost it all, man. Started from the bottom. But man, God had a plan. And so through a series of events, I was introduced to a guy who had some fruit on the tree. Got to get this. He had success in his life. When I tell people about mentoring, find somebody who has the results in your life that you desire and sit at their feet. And so he was very successful in the insurance industry. I had no interest in doing insurance, but I started going to his Friday morning training classes, where I started hearing things like, Ryan, it's not what happens to you that determines your success. It's what you do with what happens to you. I don't know if any of your listeners out there ever felt like they were in the victim or asked the question, why me? What next? And that's kind of where I was. But he began to help me to develop a new philosophy around life. He said, Ryan, there's no such thing as bad weather, just bad clothing. Right. So he began to help me reframe just the way I thought about life. And then he introduced me to a guy, man, by the name of Jim Rohn. He was still living back then. Rest his soul, not anymore. And I heard this quote, man, it's absolutely changed my life. And it's been the philosophy I've lived on ever since. He said that, Ryan, success isn't something that you pursue. Because, you know, like most people at that point, 22, 23, I think I'm 27 at this time. I'm pursuing success, right? You chase the stuff, the visual, right? And you go work hard, you attain it, hit repeat on Monday, do it all over again. And he said, no, Ryan, success isn't something you pursue. He says success is something that you attract by the person you become. And I said, wow. And it was that moment that I said, you know what? I'm done chasing stuff. how do I become a better version of myself? And as you mentioned, I became a 27-year-old kid, man, high school diploma, college degree down you, never read a book, just did what I needed to do to get by. And I became a personal development junkie. I read the books. I went to the workshops and the seminars. I was transcribing YouTube videos. You know, for your young kids listening out there today, we had these things called cassette tapes. I turned off the radio, and everywhere I went, I'm listening to cassette tapes. Then it was CDs, and, you know, you guys know it now. And so I had to change my programming. And my mentor said this, and I'll pause because I could go on. He said, Ryan, you are who you are, where you are, and what you are in your life because of your thinking. He said, yeah, you have this place in life you want to get to. He said, but you don't know enough. He said, it's taking everything you got to get you right where you are, which is broke, busted, and disgusted. Right. He said, you need some new information, some new relationships. He took me in his office one day. He said, man, how you doing financially? And he knew the answer. And I said, man, not so good. He said, well, who are you getting your financial advice from? And so with all the ego and manhood I could muster up, I said, myself. And he said, you got to stop listening to that idiot. He said, Ryan, if you want to change some things in your life, you got to change some things in your life. And it was that point, man, that I just embraced this new philosophy. And it's been, 15, 20 years now. It's just been this pursuit of how can I become a better version of myself, deliver value, find problems, and solve them. And it's just been a fun journey, man.
So Ryan, thinking makes it so. I love that. Can you talk about, as the visionary for TEL, right? 6 years ago, you made this commitment, right, to create a safe haven for entrepreneurs, dream, grow, lead effectively. Tell us about that and how that 6 years is kind of what's happened in that 6 years.
Yeah, man. Out of that, I believe, the personal development track then began to point me into the financial development track. And I got really, really focused on learning about finances and money. We'll talk about that a little later, I believe, as well. But then I got this tremendous hunger to say, you know what, if I was struggling because I didn't have the right information, the right relationships. I didn't know that you could go out and seek mentors. I didn't know that there was a shortcut to this thing called success. And so I said, man, if I didn't know that, I wonder how many other people there are that don't know that. And so in my pursuit of knowledge and relationships, long story short, through a friend that I know out in Winston-Salem, he knew a guy who led an organization called CEO Space International. And I went out to Winston-Salem, sat at a lunch and learn, listened to this guy, man, who actually was the godson of Napoleon Hill, if you can follow that. So you can imagine how this guy thought. So everything he's saying, I'm sitting at his feet. He's like, look, so I got this forum going on out in Henderson, Nevada, just outside of Vegas. It's like a 10-day event. Come out. It'll be life-changing for you. I did it, man. I drank the Kool-Aid. I went out there, and man, the first 4 days I'm there, all I hear is, how can we support you? What do you need to move forward? Where are you stuck at? And man, it began to shape my thinking because nobody had ever took that much interest in where I needed help and support. And so basically all of that wrapped into this idea of collaboration, not cooperation, right? Another one of my mentors, George Fraser, says that 1 + 1 or cooperation, 1 + 1 = 2, right? That's two people kind of walking together to get something done. He said, but collaboration, 1 and 1 = 11, right? When you can take your agenda off the table and begin to look for opportunities to serve others, now you begin to multiply your value and your opportunity to serve. And so with that, I brought this whole idea of collaboration back, and I started a meetup group called Triangle Entrepreneurial Leadership. I didn't realize it might have some SEO context, but obviously it did. And I had a meeting where I brought this guy back to Raleigh, North Carolina, and had him at a lunch and learn. About 20, 25 people showed up, and that was the launch of Triangle Entrepreneurial Leadership, man. And in the meetup community, that's grown to over 3,000 members. And shortly after that, we got on the whole social media thing. But to your question, Bro Kirk, it's been a labor of love. when you really have a passion and a purpose for something, then you don't mind making the investment. And that's really what it's been. It's been something that I've been fortunate and blessed to invest in and kind of self-fund up to this point. But man, it's been worthwhile. And now we're starting to see the fruit as well as the return on that investment here in this 6th year, man. And so, just fortunate to be able to just be humble as well as willing to take action, right? Even when I don't have any clue. I had no idea 6 years ago what Triangle Entrepreneurial Leadership would be. I did not. Not a clue. I had no idea how we'd make money, nothing. And here we are 6 years later, man, and I'm so glad I did.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. If you're just listening in or just checking in, we are talking with Ryan Ray about entrepreneurship, his humble beginnings. Ryan, I once heard that the footsteps of a righteous man are ordered. Obedience is greater than sacrifice.
Yeah.
Not to get weary in well-doing.
Yeah.
Right. So you, just for those who may be listening and maybe didn't catch on, he said it 50 million times. He said he laid at someone's feet, just in case you're not really privy to what that means. It's a sense of humility. It's a sense of putting your pride in your pocket to say, you know what, I may know something, but I want to know what you know.
Yeah.
And being able to do what grandma says is 2 ears and one mouth. And listen when you speak, which we know is certainly a skill, man. So, hey, man, I'm excited.
Man, I tell people, like, there's 2 ways to learn, right? Mistakes or mentors, right? But most of us spend our lives making the mistakes, and some you got to make, right? Because that's good. That's, you got to put the Band-Aids on, right? You got to know some stuff hurt. But again, and I always say this when I say shortcut, but if there's a shortcut, it's mentorship. It's aligning with someone who's already been where you're trying to go, and man, you talk about COVID and where we've come as a people and the challenges. One of those areas where we just don't have enough time to make too many mistakes is in our finances. Right. But that's where we'll live. So if you're going to seek mentorship for something, it ought to be in that thing called money, because life's too short to make all the mistakes over there on the. Now you can make some mistakes in business, right? You can make some mistakes in these other places, but that money game, you got to go find the right information, man. So anyway, I just wanted to plant that seed for someone out there that's like, I'm struggling. You don't know. I didn't know enough. My mentor said you're an idiot when it comes to finances, dude. Like you haven't read the books. You haven't been to the seminars, right? You can't get you don't qualify for the results you want in life, right? It's like the farmer. You got to put the seed in the ground if you want the harvest.
That's it. And it's got to be on good ground too.
That's right.
He said, stop listening to that idiot. I can dig that. Shout out to James, man. Real quick before we go to commercial, Ryan, James is my barber. He cuts this boss beard. So shout out to James, man. He wants to know, how can he get involved in Triangle Leadership? Yes,
sir. Well, it's a couple different ways. You can go out to our website, TELRTP.com. Again, that just stands for Triangle Entrepreneurial Leadership Research Triangle Park. TELRTP.com. You can Google Triangle Entrepreneurial Leadership. It'll pop up and you can get involved. We actually have our kind of coming out party, our COVID coming out party. Love to have you guys with us. April 15th. Kirk, I think you're familiar with our Third Thursdays. We ran that model for about 3 years pre-COVID, and it was solid. And so we got our first Third Thursday coming back out this April 15th. So you can go to our website, click Third Thursdays, and register to attend that event as well.
Just so I'm on the same page, Ryan, TLPRTP.com.
TEL.
I messed that all up.
That's all right. That's right. TELRTP. Yeah. So it's an acronym for Triangle Entrepreneurial Leadership Research Triangle Park.
Boom.
Yeah.
There it is, right on the bottom.
You got it. You nailed it.
I got it. I'm trying, man. I'm working over here, buddy. Shout out to our sponsors and the big homie, man. We got my man Sherrod Jones now. We call him Genius Jones. He always wants to shout out. This month, we're talking about the hustler spirit. So let's see what Genius has to say. We'll be right back.
Shouts out to the bro code for locking your boy in once again. With that being said, leg up. So this picture behind me is my man, Rick Ross. I'm the biggest boss that you've seen thus far. Whoa. I really love when Rick Ross does that. I want to be a boss. Really? You? Yeah.
Question is, do you got what it takes to be a boss?
The answer is yes, you do. In case you didn't know. You got to unlock The inner entrepreneur, taking your purpose, your passion, and turning it into dollars. You do all that investing in Chick-fil-A. You know, you put all your money there, but you want to invest $1 into yourself. Tragic.
Really what it is, man, no funny. Taking that purpose and that burning fire inside of yourself and turning it into a business, man. I started doing comedy probably 2 years ago, man, and I never thought about it as being something that I could take and turn into a business, man. So whatever it is for you, man, you selling popsicles, you baking cakes, man, you know what I'm saying, you like cut a little hair on the side, you know what I'm saying, got to work out and help people build their bodies, personal trainers, you know, whatever that might be. Taking that one little seed, man, putting some water over that thing and making that thing grow, man. To get over your fears, you know what I'm saying, get over having to do the hard work, man. Just take what's really near and dear to you, man, and turn that thing into a business. It's your boy, Genius Jones, man. Let's make more entrepreneurs out here in 2021, 22, 23, 24, 25. And let's go ahead and level up like my boy Rick Ross. Oh, it's your boy Genius Jones. Go get it!
Shout out to the big homie, man.
Yes.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. What's your thoughts, JC? I mean, when we talk about, you know, the hustler spirit, man, the heart, he used Rick Ross. I know who you're going to say, right? We know, Jay. We know. But, you know, you know that's what he's going to say, right? But what are your thoughts on that, man? Talk to me.
Well, I think everybody's got to have their streams of income. You know, if you got one job, you're one job away from being, you know, poor, destitute on the street. And so everybody should be, especially now living through 2020 and now 2021. It's like, what else can I do to make money? What else can I do to prepare a table for my family? What else can I learn? You know, if there's one thing that I took away from 2020 myself is, hey, I've got a lot of time to improve on something, you know, learn a new skill, start a new business, you know, find a way to make my money work for me, whether it's through investments in stocks or investments in books and education. So those are some of the things that kind of stuck out for me as my man Genius was going.
Yeah, I definitely can dig that, man. Definitely can dig that. What do you think, Kurt? What's your thoughts, bro?
I love it. I think, I'm going to use Nipsey because I love that Nipsey talked about, it wasn't just about Nipsey. It was about the community. Mm-hmm. He was trying to get everybody to elevate first in their mind and then in their finances. And so for me this year, man, it really was about really working on how I spend my money. You know, literally, do I need to spend this dollar and could I invest it? And there's a whole different feeling in our conversation, especially in our culture, if we can all agree, right? So definitely how I spend my money.
Yeah, man, them dollars are soldiers. You got to put them to war, right? And like pawns, right? I could dig that. I know I saw you over there brewing, Ryan. I see you. What are your thoughts on that, man? Give me some gems.
Yeah, man. I'll just say, just to kind of be, I guess, a little provocative here. You know, I love those guys when they begin to reveal the kind of behind the curtain of how they're crushing it, right? Like the music industry is kind of this front, but the guys out there that are crushing it, like you guys just mentioned, they have businesses, right? And so they're doing the videos, they're living the flashy life, and that's okay if if a portion of your income, a small portion of your income can put that up. But I want people to know that behind the curtain is some knowledge and some understanding of business and how it works. And I guarantee you, those guys have been mentored. You talk about Jay, he sat down with Warren Buffett, right? Not because he had to, he had the opportunity to, right? And so that's what I want people to know. When we look at the front that people are putting up, dig into it a little deeper and don't just say, the flash and the lifestyle and all of those things, man. But Genius Jones, he nailed it, investing in yourself and, let's go out and help make up some other entrepreneurs. You said it before. I think the greatest investment we can ever make is into the lives of other people. You guys showed that, last week, investing into the young men with the Second Empire, which, by the way, again, huge shout out. I have to say, man, I was like, man, I wish I was at that table, but that's another conversation. Good stuff, man. So investing into our communities like a Nipsey and so many of our leaders out there are doing, man. So thank you for the opportunity.
I could dig it, man. We'll definitely have that conversation too, brother. It was once said that, and I've once read, man, so a man thinketh in his heart, so shall he be. One of the third piece you spoke of, the first piece was character, task, and relationship. And the character portion of it being a choice. I love that, right? Because there's a difference between a choice and a mistake.
That's right.
And it said that, once it's done twice, it's no longer a mistake, right? It's a choice.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's the other piece too, man. Like, we got to stop giving people a pass, right? Like, that's a mistake. Like, was it really a mistake? Like, I mean, come on. Like, a mistake is you threw a rock over the house and it slipped out your hand and hit the window. Like, that's a mistake. Like, if you had some time to think about what you were getting ready to do, now maybe you didn't have the right information and you made a wrong choice, but it was still a choice. We can't just go around saying, man, that was a mistake. Oh, that was a mistake. Oh, I made another mistake. Yeah, come on. At some point, man, we got to hold people accountable and say, no, these are choices, because if it's a mistake, you give away the power to change it. If it's a choice, now I take back that that power. Now, how can I be more in control of my choices, right? And it's not this it slipped, right? Oh, dude, it ain't slipped. Come on.
Right, there you go. I'll just leave the card.
Right.
We're going to take a real quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to continue this conversation on the hustler spirit, the mind, the heart, and the character of an entrepreneur, right here on the Bro Code Show.
Are you looking for a barbershop that provides luxury grooming services in a safe, clean environment, and that also gives back to the community? Well, look no further. The Barber Shop is the place for you. We're currently looking for new members. We have a location here in Raleigh, and we have a future location coming soon in Wake Forest, North Carolina. If you'd like to be a member or just give us the opportunity to serve you, please visit our website, thebarbershopnc.com. See you soon.
Shout out to the big homie, Reggie Winston. That was the first part of that. That's when we got a chance to learn a little bit more, man. And I don't know about you fellas, man, but it's like, wow, I've been rude all my life. I mean, some of the things that she was talking about, I was like, wow, I never really thought about that. Like, okay, it's a lifestyle thing. You don't know what you don't know, how you were taught, right? But yeah, that mindset, man. When Grandma said, when you know better, you do better. I think that is a great symmetry as it pertains to our own task and things that we can be accountable for, such as our finances, man. Jay, what you got, bro?
I'm gonna stick on that topic of mindset. One of my better Jay-Z quotes was, "I'm not a businessman, I'm a businessman." But not everybody's ready to change that thought process in their head. And Ryan, as a mentor to small business owners, how do you know when someone is coachable and ready to embrace what it takes to receive such a valuable mentor relationship?
Yeah, great question, bro. I appreciate that. Again, as I said it earlier, and again, if you, I won't do that because that's controversial. But let me do my own. Let me speak from my own experience. It was when I reached the awareness that I had maxed out on my ability, on my skill set to achieve the thing that I wanted, the life, the purpose, the whatever it was I wanted to achieve. So I think it's when someone knows that they're destined for more, but now they've become humbly aware that I can't get there on my own. And now they become a seeker, right? That good book that you've mentioned a couple of times, bro, Troy, finding is reserved for the seekers, right? And when someone begins to seek out that mentorship, that education, now they will find. And then that's the one that you don't have to call them, they're calling you, right? You don't have to see if you don't have to check up on them because as Les Brown says, they're hungry, right? Like they want it because that awareness has brought them into the realization that in order for me to have more, I've got to become more, right? And now to become more, I've got to put myself around other people who can help and show me the way.
So I love that answer. And you talk about entrepreneurship, right? You talk about really not the product, more of a process. And the real successful entrepreneurs, they create change. So can you speak to the necessary leadership of being an effective servant leader in entrepreneurship?
Yeah, it's a great question, bro. Kurt, appreciate that. One of my core values after doing some work with an executive coach here in Raleigh, shout out to Tracy Phillips. One of the core values for me was servant leadership. It was this desire to see other people win. Play on words here. When we talk about being selfless, right? That's not a function of thinking of yourself less, of thinking less of yourself, right? It's just thinking of yourself less and more of others. I don't believe that God put us here to serve ourselves. That does not make sense to me. Otherwise, he just put us on an island and said, have at it, right? But he put us in community with other people, gave each of us different gifts and talents that then can serve one another. And united, we can accomplish so much more. That's been proven over time historically. And so to be able to go out and serve other people, then I believe that when we focus on building people, that's when things begin to change. You know, so many times we talk about, let's build this company, or let's build this church, or let's build this whatever. And I'm always like, no, build the people, right? If you build the people, they'll build the church. If you build the people, they'll build the business. But if we haven't invested in people, then we've missed a huge opportunity for whatever it is we're seeking to create to really become what it has the capacity to become. I talked to a lot of business owners who started out with this people-focused mission, but when they got down the road and the engine started running, right, they lost that focus and they began to focus more on the profits, which you have to, right? You got to know your business. And I'm always trying to remind them that now, how do you now invest into these assets that you have called people? You want to plug the hole up in your lack of retention. You know, you want to scale and grow your business, invest in your people. And when you build people build communities, who build cities, who build counties. You guys, you know the rest. So that's always been the focus for me, man. And again, even with Triangle Entrepreneurial Leadership, it was never about building the company. Like so many people have said, is this a nonprofit? I'm like, no, it's not a nonprofit. Nothing wrong with that. But because the perception is that there's just this investment into people, right? And that's exactly what it is. But now, again, we're starting to see some return on that. So the focus was the people, not the company. And now the company is growing as a result of that.
Good stuff. If you're just checking in, we're talking with Ryan Ray about all things entrepreneurship, that spirit, that hustler spirit, the mindset, the character, the heart, that hunger that we talked about. We've heard many gems, man. So please, we want to hear your comments. Thank you for all those that have jumped in the chat, asked a question, or just said, I love you. We appreciate it. So let's not stop that. Like last month, we talked about finding capital for your business. You know, we were taking advantage potentially of current PPE or tax break for business owners. Now all that's great, but if you don't have a plan with the money, it usually is misappropriated or misused. We've talked a little bit about that tonight as well. Now, over and over again tonight, Ryan, you know, we made mentions and hit over being a good steward, yes, whether that's with your time, the people that are on your mantle, or who you've been placed to serve. But also we know that comes down to money too, right? So you developed a curriculum. You titled it Faith-Focused Finances. Now tell us more about how this helped or has helped yourself, business owners, and families to be just that, good stewards.
Yeah. So, you know, for me, as I mentioned earlier, after that personal development journey, you know, it's hard to be in excellence in one area of your life and not thriving for excellence in another area of your life. So after this focus to become a person of value, now it's like, well, I got to get my money right now. I got to begin to pursue excellence in these other areas of my life. And so, when I began to think through that, kind of the same thing happened. Like, if this is something I didn't know, could there be other people who also don't know this? And so Faith-Focused Finances was developed really to help people to understand how money works, right? I mean, you mentioned having a plan, right? And a lot of people hope that their financial situations gets better. Well, hope is not a strategy, right? Once you have hope, and hope is necessary, now you need a plan, right? You need something to execute. And so with this Faith-Focused Finances, it helps people to understand, first and foremost, that if you don't have a plan for your money, like you said, Bro Troy, then someone else does. And it might be your family, but it could also be the media, right? Because we are like as people, we are sinful by nature. Well, guess what? We're also consumers by nature, right? And just like we have to be intentional about avoiding sin, we also have to be intentional to not be a consumer. Because if we aren't, then we get to the end of our month and find that there's more month than money, right? We get to the end of our lives and realize that we've outlived our money. And so the first thing we do is we try to help people understand that money is really a game, right? And it's not a hobby, right? It's not like softball league. It's not like the volleyball league. It's not like the bowling league that, once you pull your shoulder, you get to quit and walk away. You can't walk away from the money game. You got to play this game your whole life. And if there's a game you're going to get good at, it ought to be the money game. And that's what we really try to help people understand, is to become intentional about your money and your financials. Forgive me for not remembering the name, sat down with my wife when we made this decision, put the numbers on paper, right? It's the first thing you got to do. You got to know where you are before you can devise a plan to get where you're trying to go. A lot of tough, heated fellowships, if you will. But over time, right, we begin to see some results. And so this program helps people to understand where they are, and then helps them to develop a plan to get there, but also understanding the challenges, being the media, being at our consumer mindset, and becoming intentional with strategy as to how to put yourself in a financial position that you're worthy of, right? That your family is worthy of, so that we can do the thing that we don't do enough of, is leave an inheritance for our children's 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 children.
Wow, that's great. So Ryan, 2020, if we all can agree, was a whirlwind of a year for so many.
Yeah.
In the midst of all that, you somehow created YBE, the Year of the Black Entrepreneur. Tell us more about how that came about and what's next for that new venture.
Wow. Thanks, bro. I appreciate that. So, we don't have to go back through and unpack all of 2020, but in the midst of all of that, I knew that we as Triangle Entrepreneurial Leadership had to do more than I felt like we had been doing in the past. And that more was, how can we create more of a membership community where we can really invest into Black entrepreneurs by educating, elevating, and then highlighting them, giving them the exposure that so many Black entrepreneurs don't need. At the end of the day, we want to create a community of bankable business owners, entrepreneurs, whether they need the bank funds or not. We want to them to create that, because so many have had success, but didn't know how to manage it, right? Didn't have the finances in order. You talk about PPP, before the challenge was access. And what we saw in 2020 was that even when access was granted, so many couldn't reach our hands into the bucket and pull anything out because we weren't prepared or qualified. And so the Year of the Black Entrepreneur will end with January 1st, 2021. Make sure you get your tickets with a gala where we're going to celebrate the Year of the Black Entrepreneur. We're going to give about 6 or 7 awards out. We're going to crown somebody the Year of the Black Entrepreneur of the Year, man. So we're excited. We meet every Tuesday. We do a seminar on 4th Thursdays. We do expos quarterly, and we're going to have this gala and a lot of other things sprinkled along the way, man. So that's what we're up to, man. And we have proclaimed that 2021 is the year of the Black entrepreneur.
Good stuff. Good stuff. So we got one more question, man. I think Bro Smith got one more question, man.
Okay.
I was just going to turn it to you, Ryan. We've been hitting you with question after question. Do you have any questions for us?
Yeah, man, I would say I would turn it around. Like, in you guys talk to a lot of people, right? I mean, you guys have had these conversations. You're in the midst of things. Mm-hmm. What have you seen has kind of been the common theme that is needed in our community to achieve whatever their idea of success is? Like, what would you say a common theme, when you hear, the bros talk, last month, what would you say, man, this is the thing that we really need to help people really think through and dial in and really be intentional about?
You want to go first, Jay? It don't matter.
I'm going to take a stab. There's been a lot. I think it boils down to one of these two. It's either the power of collaboration and how you don't have to do this all on your own. There's a number of individuals that can help. There are a number of ways that you could partner and make it bigger. Either that or the financial literacy and how much of a need that is within our community, and just understanding just the value and power of money and how you can make it work for you.
Awesome.
So if I had to have an answer, I'm going to jump right with JC. I was working for a company years ago, and it was in Ohio, and it was in an Amish community. And seeing how they run their life, their whole life, right? They get it. There's a blueprint. And I think a lot of cultures have already shown us there's a blueprint for how you do community, right? But collaborations, for everything that I do moving forward in my life, I'm not doing anything alone. I'm going to find somebody else. Maybe not, they don't have to have my strengths, but they have some strengths that make me better, right? Maybe their strengths are where my weaknesses are. I'm just not working alone anymore because I believe what you said, Ryan, about that 11.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
It's good. It's good.
Well, I would piggyback too, if I could add value. Now, I love the word intentional, Ryan. You said it over and over again. It was one of my buzzwords coming into 2020, and it just stuck, because no one knew what you were about to walk into when it came to 2020. So it was really good to go into it with some intentionality. But strategic partnerships, right? This is a piece of a puzzle.
Yeah.
And wanting to make sure that those puzzle pieces gel to make something that's even bigger, a bigger, pretty picture, because we all play a piece. And innovative leadership. I think one of the most hurtful statements to probably the English language is, we've always done it that way.
I'm with you 100.
But we all know the definition of insanity. So, pick your poison here, player. So with that being said, I think those three things, we're going to have to be innovative. We can't do it the same way, and it has to be strategic. It has to be a piece of the puzzle that comes together. So, yeah, absolutely, man. I think those three things are the beginning stages. There's a lot more. Yeah. We'd be here all day, but those would be my three.
Well, that's awesome, man. All of those are very, very affirming. The collaboration piece, and that's just, that's talk about a vision. That's just going to move one of those things that's ongoing that we've got to begin to just teach and help our culture to begin to think about. But you mentioned financial literacy, man. April is Financial Literacy Month, right? Like, just be intentional to our listeners out there and dig in, right? Just find somewhere to listen. And if you follow me, you're going to be seeing a lot of financial literacy stuff. I'm actually doing for the YBE community, my faith-focused finances curriculum this month, and I'm actually going to be delivering it in May for those who decide they want to join and be a part of that cohort. So, man, financial literacy is you got to know, man. It's basic economics, how to manage and be a good steward of your finances. And it's once you know it's really not this. It's not this myth anymore, right? It's a myth and it eludes us because we don't know. But once you start to learn about it, it simplifies it, as with everything in life, right?
I love it. One last one, and we got to go, man. We got to wrap this up, right? We always talk about self-awareness being the greatest gift, right? Once you feel comfortable in your own skin, validation no longer has value, right? It's not about what others think. You're able to apply those things. It doesn't end your decision making. So, all in all, man, please go follow Ryan Ray. Continue to support this young man and what he's doing in being a servant leader and putting other people's needs before his wants. And that's what it comes down to. So, fellas, I'm excited about this month's topic of conversation, man. This month, we're going to talk all about the hustler spirit. We're just adding layers to it tonight, man, here with Ryan. So the mindset, the heart, and the character of an entrepreneur. To do that, we're going to highlight some entrepreneurs that can talk to us about that have been forged in the fire, if you may. So part one of this conversation, we're going to have the young lady, Lori Jones. Shout out to Lori Jones. She's owner of Blackology Coffee, and she also is a master chef. Lori is a food and beverage mastermind. She now uses her unique skills to please the palates of those that she serves. We'll also have Morgan Cook. Shout out to Morgan. He's owner of MCK Creative, LLC. Morgan and his team have mastered the ability to blend graffiti art with bold lines and bright colors in a way that mesmerizes all that see it. He is the mastermind behind the Alphabet Project, which consists of several murals around Raleigh, North Carolina. Special shout out to Morgan too, man, because in the middle of this month, we're going to be having a special art piece done to our van where we will be the only van, hear me well, in Raleigh, North Carolina, that will be a graffiti van done by MCK Creatives. I can't wait for that. We'll be adding art to our programming to be able to continue to spark creative mindsets in our youth, man. So shout out to Morgan, man. We definitely look forward to that. So next Sunday, April the 11th at 6 p.m., check us out on YouTube at Y4C TV or go to IG at Bro Coach Show for updates on upcoming conversations. As always, I appreciate the fellas, man. Ryan, love you like cooked food, bro. Keep doing it, man. Keep plowing the road. All those who listen, like, share, hit the share button one more time, man, so this ripple effect and these good gems can continue to go out. Fellas, you know I love y'all like cooked food too, man. Until the next time, man. Until next week. We always want to leave you guys with something positive, right? And we're talking about entrepreneurship, and I can't think of a better queen of entrepreneurship than Miss Oprah Winfrey. So don't worry about being successful, but work towards being significant, and the success will naturally follow. It's your boy, Bro Troy, a.k.a. Mr. YM4C, but better known as Coach TJ. And we are the Bro Code.